It is 10 o'clock. It's Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour for January the 17th, 2025. My name's John Kelsey. I'll be your moderator on the recording. My email address will flash if you're picking this thing up on YouTube and you'd like to join us some Thursday morning. It's free, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Drop me an email. I'll add you to the list. July 17th, 2026. 2025.
Hello, John.
Good morning, everybody. I was going to show you some pictures, but I think I'm going to wait a little bit and see other people's pictures because I may seem to, yeah. Club news first. Any club news that anybody wants to report? Okay, that was a loud thump. Ziegler's off way doing greeting some people on his workshop today. Kai, let's start with what you'd like to show us. Chalikian has a good question we'll come to in a minute too, but Kai's going to start us off.
Yeah. Hello first then. Yes, I want to share something with you. We had a small wood turning meeting, 7 wood turners for 1 week. And these 7 are the people who organize Zoom events in Germany. We started during Corona and we kept the thing going as the morning coffee hour is going on. And we had that meeting and one of the participants demonstrated how to make wheat pots out of spalted beech. And as we talked about spalted beech last week, I thought it might be interesting to show what I did. He was so nice to give a block of wood to every participant to take home and then asked us to turn a wheat pot the way he did it at home. So that's what I want to show you. And just a second, I try to share that. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you can see the wheat pot as I turned it, and it looked a bit dull. So I decided to stain it with blue spirit stain. And then I put some matte lacquer from a spray can over it and showed it to the others. And they said, well, you should have used gloss lacquer that gives it some more depth and the stain or the colored wood will look better. So I tried that. And that's the matte from the other side with the matte stain, the wheat pot from the other side with the matte stain that way. And that's with the gloss lacquer on it.
Which did you like, Kai?
I think I like the gloss version better. The only problem for me is to use the lacquer from the spray lacquer from a rattle can correctly. So with the matte version, you don't realize any inconsistencies in the lacquer surface. So in some places there's a thicker layer of lacquer, in other places it is thinner, and it's a little bit of a kind of orange peel effect or something on the top, but you don't see it as the surface is matte. When I put the first layer of gloss on it, there was an orange peel effect which I didn't like. So I put on a second layer, but the orange peel effect stayed. I just made it thicker, the lacquer. And at that point, I didn't want to sand it because the lacquer had only dried for maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And I thought when I sand it now, might be smearing it, or it won't look better, but even worse. So I put on another layer of lacquer and the effect wasn't what I wanted to have. So in the end, I left it overnight, sanded it from 600 grit to 1200 grit, and then the surface was a little bit matte, and then I put microcrystalline wax on it, which is kind of a shoe polish for wood turners, I guess. It smells like shoe polish, and it's a wax thing. Then I got this nice gloss effect, and I think that's the way I will leave it now. I can show you the orange peel effect on the foot here, which I didn't sand and put something on it. So you can see the layer of lacquer is really inconsistent, and it doesn't look nice and smooth.
Do you think that's a matter of your technique, or is the surface contaminated, or is the spray can not up to the task? What do you think it is?
I discussed that with some other woodturners yesterday, and there might have been several reasons. For one thing, the lacquer was a few years old, so it wasn't a fresh spray can. Then I used it outside when it was quite warm, or hot. So they said it might have happened that the part of the lacquer already dried in the air before it hit the wood.
Yep.
So it looked inconsistent. And then if you want to have a coat, or an even coat, it needs to run a little bit on the surface so that the places where you got a little bit less are covered. But mine didn't run anymore because it was too hot. And also it was a little bit windy, which didn't help. So there might have been different reasons why I didn't get it right.
And was it real humid where you are? Because I when I spray lacquer outside, I don't like humidity at all.
No, it wasn't really humid. It was warm and windy, but not humid. But what is your experience in spraying lacquer? What should I look out for, or what shouldn't I do, or what is the best procedure in achieving a nice surface?
I got a question for you, Kai. When you were saying that the one can of lacquer was old, was both cans of lacquer the same age, or were they from two different eras? Because chemistry in lacquer changes. I know I bought two different cans from the same company a couple of years apart, and you put one on top of the other, and the chemistry actually did the orange peel effect like you've experienced. So it's whatever changes they make from year to year to year in their chemistry when they're making it, the lacquers could react with each other.
I also think it's very likely, as one of your friends said, that in the warm weather with a breeze, fine bits of lacquer droplets dry before they hit the surface. Then they get sealed in by the next parts that come along, and that causes it to do something anyhow.
Kai, did you use the can just by pressing the black knob on top?
Yes, I did.
Have you because you started off by saying you weren't too happy with spraying, have you ever thought of buying the gun that goes on that can? Since I bought one from Chestnut, my spraying has increased infinitesimally. It's absolutely fantastic because you've got more control over your spray than just your finger on the top of the can.
I didn't know such a thing existed. Is that available? Have you got a picture of it? You got it with you?
I'll go and get it, John.
All right.
And
we'll break in with it for you again when you come back.
Yeah.
They're
available on Amazon.
Yeah, they're Amazon about $5. They're a plastic. You can even 3D print one. They're absolutely, like Don says, they're absolutely indispensable because you could it's like pulling a trigger rather than holding your finger on it. It just makes the job so much easier, and they're like $5.
You guys.
So this appliance presses
what a tip.
The black nozzle. Then is that right?
The gizmo does it for you.
Yeah.
It's like holding a regular paint can with a handle, and you pull the trigger, and then the mechanism inside pushes the button down. So it's really easy to hold, and then you can swing like this and up and down and around without having to hold your finger down on it. It's and they're relatively inexpensive. They're just made out of plastic.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Are they using the same nozzle but just mechanically controlling it with a trigger?
Right. Here we are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, Don's back.
There you go. Don's got it.
Spotlight him if you can. Have you got more pics?
Oh, I have to stop the share.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. If you have more pics to share, no.
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah, hang on, I'll get done. Spotlighting.
There he
is.
All right. I see now. Yeah. That does have its own nozzle, doesn't it?
It has
No.
its own nozzle, but when you flick that on, when you pull the trigger, it comes down on that button,
Yeah.
and you've got more control
Yeah.
with the spraying on.
But it doesn't replace the existing nozzle on the can.
No.
I see. All right, got it. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Anybody else on this?
Over here, we can buy them from Chestnut.
Well, it sounds like they're pretty common here. I was a dumb guy, didn't know about it.
Yeah, I'll have a look. Thank you for showing, Don.
I find it much easier because when you're spraying, it's just like if you were spraying an automobile with a proper gun and with a compressor and air. You've got that control of running, because when you're doing it with your finger, your finger tends to be, do I push it harder? Do I push it softer? Whereas this way you can control the pressure on the trigger.
And the surface has to be really clean. And lacquer will make an orange peel at the slightest provocation, is my experience with it.
We got the same one here, Don. Can gun.
Hi, my name is Marianne. I'm creating a visual abstract to accompany our recent publication. The purpose of this is to make research easier to understand for the general public, and also to help.
Thank you.
Oh, you didn't want that playing. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I don't know where
I thought somebody was playing it for us. So.
No, it didn't come out. Okay.
Hey, Kai, you said something interesting, that somebody says to put it on thicker and let it run. My experience is the thinner the coat of lacquer, the better you are, especially that first coat.
Absolutely
I just barely touch the wood with the lacquer.
It's best to put 3 or 4 thinner coats than one big coat and have it run. You're better off.
Okay.
Well, the other thing you can do,
very thin.
the other thing you can do with lacquer, if you can get the piece on the lathe, even with a vacuum chuck, is thin the lacquer and wipe it on and wipe it off as your first coat. You can make a really good sealer coat.
You're not using sanding sealer, just starting right with lacquer.
I'm starting with lacquer cut about 50%.
Is that what you're doing, Ken, too?
With a wiping lacquer, with a deft wiping lacquer or a brushing lacquer. And that makes a very good you can turn the lathe up with your rag on that and be careful not to let it stick, and you can get that to set right away, and on you go with a first coat of good finish on the wood, in the wood.
It all depends what kind of piece I'm doing, whether or not I put lacquer sealer on. I bought some commercial lacquer sealer from Zinsser. I can't remember who it was, but if it's a good piece, I'll put that on first, very thin, just brush it on, wipe it on actually, and wipe it off. But with things like Christmas ornaments, snowmen, those kind of things, I just spray it on. But light coat, light coat, light coat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to wipe the lacquer on because I had got the spirit stain beneath it, and I was afraid of kind of smearing the spirit stain when wiping lacquer onto it. So I thought spraying would be the better way, but I'm not an experienced sprayer. I normally use top oil, and with this piece I didn't want to use top oil because top oil is also a wipe-on thing, and so I wanted to try lacquers. It's one of my first experiences in using spray can lacquer on a turned wooden item.
Well,
I think lacquer is one of those things that it actually dissolves the layer of lacquer that's underneath it to help adhere to it. I think that's one of the few finishes that does that, if I recall correctly.
That's right.
How do you guys
dissolve the previous layer?
Start over.
How do you guys handle overspray around the edges?
I just don't breathe it.
Well, behind it gets on everything. If you're putting it on the lathe, then you've got a chance of getting it on all the sides and everything else around the machine. So it's very difficult to restrict the lacquer cloud just to your machine.
It's called building a box over it. That was my comment. You guys talk about spraying lacquer outside. I would never do that. too much chance of dirt and wind messing with you. I do that with shellac and stuff, but lacquer, I have a box over my lathe and a 6-inch exhaust fan, inline fan running. So
I do the wipe-on coat on the lathe as I go if I'm going to use lacquer, and then I have a very small spray hood that's about this big, and I put the piece in that on a little pedestal, and I spray it, dust aside, rotate the piece, dust aside, rotate the piece. That seems to work okay to get a good build-up.
So John, can you clarify? You're saying that you use a wipe-on that you've thinned up to 50% for your very first coat, and then all the subsequent coats are sprayed.
Yes, that works pretty good. At least I have found it to work pretty good. And that first coat can be a sanding sealer. If there's grain to raise, it'll raise it. And then you can tackle that and clean it up. One more sanding, one more, and off you go.
I wonder if you use lacquer thinner in the case of where you have a lot of orange peel and stuff, if it would dissolve it enough, the surface enough to make it smooth, wiping it like you were doing initially, John?
Usually makes it gummy.
Does it?
Got orange peel, it's going to get gummy. It's only going to get gummy from there.
Okay.
You make an awful mess.
Make it streaky too. It'll streak.
Thank you, George. I have a feeling lacquer is just a bad actor in my book.
Well, that's true because it does spot. You get it wet and it's going to spot. I mean, it just does, no matter what they say.
Plus, it tries to kill your lungs at the same time you're using it. So.
Yeah.
Do you always sand between coats of lacquer, or do you just spray one coat over the other?
Yeah.
One over the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
All
smoother
depends
finish.
whether or not. Go ahead, Carol.
For a smoother finish, you can sand or Scotch Brite between coats. You don't have to do it every coat. But...
Well, you sand the first coat.
How long do you wait before you Scotch Brite the surface? Do you have to let it dry overnight, or can you do it after an hour or
20 minutes, a half an hour.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever the can says, double it.
Good advice.
No, I mean that. It'll. Yeah.
According to the can that I've got in my hand, it says, after application, touch dry in approximately 30 minutes and leave at least 24 hours to fully dry.
And when do you sand then? Touch dry or fully dry?
Fully. Fully.
If I was going to do any sanding, I would use the wet back, and I use the yellow one.
Mm.
It will clog your paper if you do it while it's still gummy. So if you sand after it's dry to the touch, your paper clogs immediately, and you got a mess.
But with the wet back,
so it should really be
doesn't
drier
clog.
then.
I guess Toby's, I didn't check whether Toby's here today, but he uses that Glassy, and I tried it, and I think that's a heck of a lot easier to deal with than lacquer. But then I hate the smell of lacquer. So
I think you're right.
It depends on the project you're doing, Jim.
What's what?
It depends on the project you're doing. Some projects you may have to spray.
But he's spraying from a rattle can, but he's spraying an acrylic rather than another kind of lacquer, and that makes a finish that doesn't spot the same way as lacquer does. So you got to really pay attention to what you're actually spraying.
And I guess you have to decide whether you really want the Glossy or not. I'm not a big fan of Glossy.
Well,
so I start out feeling really against it to start with. So.
And that's a choice everybody makes. Okay, that's 20 minutes in. Good chat.
Okay, thanks a lot for all the tips.
And thank you for kicking us off with that lovely piece. I love the color on that, I meant to say.
Can I ask, how did you turn it though, Kai?
How I turned it?
Thanks, Don.
Oh yeah, we gotta have that part. Yeah, come on, give it to us.
Oh,
you can't remember.
I know how I did it. So I have to go back to my presentation. Sorry, just a quick. anything? Here.
Yeah, we
Let's
got
start
it.
here.
Yeah.
Just go back. Oop.
Okay, there he's got it.
Actually, I started with the plank and the block between centers. So on one side, I had a chuck with long jaws and only two jaws, and two jaws I removed. So just two opposite jaws gripping the block. And then on the other side, I used a long drill bit to drill the hole for the test tube that I put into there. So the first step was drilling, and I did that while the thing was fixed to the chuck, which was a bit, I didn't like that much because it sounded like a propeller turning. But after the drilling, I removed it from the chuck, sawed the circle, and put it onto my my vacuum chuck to turn the outside here, and also to round the top over. And I found a steel ruler that I bent over the surface helps to find a nice curve, or to obtain a nice curve on the surface. It will show any gaps here, for example, a little one, and then you have to do some more turning and sanding in this area till you get the curve. The next thing that I tried was after turning, I cut off. No, sorry, I didn't cut off. That was the natural edge of my square wooden plank. That was going to be the foot. But I sanded it a little bit, and then I wanted to add another piece of wood here to make it more stable when it stands. And I first drilled a hole using a 12 millimeter drill, half an inch drill, and it wandered off because I didn't want to drill the complete hole, but just part of the hole, and the rest was air here, no wood, and that makes the drill wander. So I didn't like that at all. It didn't look nice. So I ended up with making this kind of fixture here, glued it with hot melt glue to the foot of the vase, and I had drilled a hole in it first to take a Forstner bit. So after that was glued, I don't know, here you have a picture of it. After it was glued to the vase, it had two purposes. It stopped the vase from rocking because it already was turned round here, and it gave me the right position for the Forstner bit. It guided the Forstner bit into the wood. So I got the kind of hole I wanted, and then I turned the cross pin or whatever it is, and also used hot melt glue to put it to this piece of wood here, and then I pushed it along my table saw, or sawed along it till I had the right thickness to put into the vase down here. And that makes it rather stable now. I will have a look whether I can find a photo of the drilling process. Maybe I can show that at the end of the morning coffee hour if you're interested.
If you come up with a good one. That was very helpful to see how you did that, though. It's very, very clever.
Okay, I'll come up with another photo, but I have to find it first.
Okay.
Did you guess the length of the foot, or did you have some way of determining how long that little dowel needed to be in either side so it's stable?
It is. I mean, it stands without this little dowel thing, but okay. It's just for safety, so it doesn't fall over if you put in a big flower or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I just guessed it. I didn't calculate it.
You could sand that into truth pretty fast too.
Here's an adaptation of Kai's unit. The difference is that bored a hole in the center and held it with a pin jaw, set of pin jaws on a chuck, and then put a medallion in the center.
Ah, yeah, right.
All right. Another good method. And is there something in the chat from Ken Vasco or Mike Peace? Could you either one of you want to talk to that? No? Okay.
Mike, don't you have a nice video on how to make that kind of vise? Or
Well, I do have a video out there. That was one of our 4 ways projects, as I recall, doing a weed pot. And some of it was based on, I don't know if he's on today, a demonstration and an article by Dennis Belcher on doing those disc style pots.
Oh, yeah. He's done a lot of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. While you're talking, why don't you keep talking?
Okay, I was going to show my latest project. Actually, there's 2 of them that are related. I just made a video, or at least this last Friday, on a bird feeder. and you make 2 little bowls, basically, that are kind of reinforced on the bottom. You know, so it'll stabilize, and then it mounts on a dowel pin that pretty snug. It registers down here at the bottom, and then that's 3/4 of an inch, and then at the top it changes to a 1/2 inch, and you got a gap in the middle of I don't know, somewhere around 2 inches or so. You can kind of control the size of the birds, as I understand it, by that gap. So if you want little birds, you make it a little bit lower. When I was doing research for this, I ran across an article, and I'm always looking for ornament articles because I love ornaments. I ran across this article in American Woodturner, December 23, that somehow I had overlooked, and I just thought it was just the cutest thing.
That looks like the kind of thing Bert makes.
Yeah. Well, I took Bert's idea and improved on the way the author of that article did, where he had these top and bottom little bowls done individually, and Bert's idea when he did his candle ornament, where he used a square block, and that way you can speed it process up dramatically by rounding each end, putting a tenon on each end, and departing down the middle, and you get two blanks.
Right.
And you can drill a through hole all at one time, so that's a much faster production process to use about a 2-inch square. That's all I've got.
Questions and comments for Mike?
Mike, how small an opening do you need to keep the squirrels out of the bird feeder?
That's a good question. I think the rule is 5, 7, 9.
5, 7, 9.
Yeah, I think you got to be like 9 feet away from anything, or the clear area 9 feet above. It's got to be like 5 feet off the ground and 7 feet from any structure.
No, I meant if they got there. If you
I understand. It's tricky. They got there. They got there.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. Okay. Thanks very much, Mike. Now, unless you built Tatkovski, we haven't heard from you in a long while. What are you going to show us today?
Okay. Back on the lacquer finishes, I just want to show you, I did several of these vases. They're hollow, and what I wanted was, as you can see there, a glassy finish. So what I did, I used my first time brush on lacquer, and I used, I can't remember the number of coats. This is about 4 years old. And I used rotten stone in between the, it's like a pumice. It's a finer mineral, but in rubbing it and then giving it another brush on coat. And brushes I used was like a 1-inch natural artist brush, which is very soft bristles, and you have to do it rather carefully, but there's no brush strokes in it. But I wanted a glass finish.
I've seen that piece. It's a really good glass finish too, and it doesn't look puddled like some of the epoxy finishes tend to do.
Yeah, and I don't have too much experience with spray lacquer.
Yeah.
But for this case, I wanted a glass finish.
Good shot, Bill.
You know, it's hollow. And I will be showing some other stuff, you know, maybe the next meetings and stuff. I got to get back online.
Okay.
So
thanks, Bill. Good to see you. Chalikian, you had a question before we started that you were going to kick off with. Tell it to the rest of us.
Yes. I was telling them the story that the other day in my shop, there's a piece of wood that was on the floor, just a small piece. And underneath it, I saw 3 little piles of sawdust. So I had some bugs in there, and I immediately got the wood out. But my question to the group would be, what do people do? Do they take precautions about bringing wood into the shop? One thought was spraying, which I'm not big on the idea, but so I just wanted to throw that out there, bug problems in the shop.
Okay, what do we got? It's powder post beetles, sounds like.
Yeah, probably. I didn't see anybody when I took it out, and I did spray it outside. But
the frass is the tell. Fresh frass is the tell. But old frass can come tumbling out of a piece if you fresh sawed it. So it's, what, anybody?
Is it wood straight from the tree or that's been felled, or is it prepared wood?
This was a branch. It was about 4 inches in diameter, about 12 inches long. It had been cut. Actually, it came from the Poconos. A friend brought it down to me. It was probably 3 months old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have a metal container, and I used to keep it outside. And any branch wood I got from a tree surgeon, I put that into that tin and left the lid just slightly raised so you got air going into it. And I always stood it upright. And then anything that might come along, nasty buggies, are in that metal container, and you're not anywhere near your workshop.
You mean as a quarantine before you take it into the shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quarantine it for at least 2 or 3 years, depending on the diameter, because normal curing is usually 1 inch per year per diameter.
Well, in our big blocks we have for turning, that's all off. Those pieces, if you have a piece sitting around, it slowly dries, and cracks or not.
So that's what I do to make certain that when I do take it, I've taken the piece and I'm going to turn it straight away. I don't take it in the shop to rest.
I understand that freezing will kill those things, so they're not that common around because they do die in freezing cold, I believe. I'm not sure that's true.
If that helps you, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now sometimes I like to turn wet wood. So
that's part of it, yeah. They're coming in with wet wood, that's for sure.
Just a good experiment.
But if you kept it outside, when you're ready to want to turn it, you take it in, you'll know immediately whether you've got to throw that piece away or you can continue. It's not in your workshop waiting and resting with all your other woods that you might have.
Right. Most of I do keep wood outside before I bring it in.
That's how I do it. But I put mine in a metal container so that at least you've got some protection from, they got to find their way into that metal container.
We need a hell of a big metal container, most of the guys around here,
Yeah.
This is
we don't have that size wood.
yeah, we have the space for it. You don't so much. Okay.
You'd have to keep an old clunker automobile in your backyard.
Yeah, that'd be a start.
Yeah.
Along with the broken bulldozer blade.
I want to mention that in our pre-starting of this, Mike had suggested taking the bark off before you bring it in.
You'll see some beetles you'll see right there if you do that. Others you won't.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, if you wanted to have a natural edge, that might be a problem, but.
Yeah, it's got to sit outside. It's got to come in from outside, be turned, and you'll find out then. Yeah, it's
the question I've got, folks, is that if you take it outside, aren't you just exposing it to greater risk of beetles coming after it out in your outside storage unit?
Yeah, and along come the other insects and creatures that eat those. You know, it's a war out there.
So what you're saying, John, is really if you have anything that's stored outside, try and bring it in and turn it as quickly as possible if you don't want to risk that sort of thing. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure I'm giving you that advice, but it sounds like one way you could go. I don't have good advice on this because I'm not in control of this problem either.
Well, I don't think any of us are.
In my experience, the best thing you can do is to cut wet wood to size as soon as possible. So remove the bark and cut either turning squares or pre-turned bowls, and then take them inside for drying. And look at them regularly whether there's any dust from beetles. But normally there isn't, as we've already said. Often the beetles are right beneath the bark. And the longer you leave the wood, the more time the beetles have got from getting from beneath the bark into the wood, eating their little channels into it. So if you have got the time, it's best to prepare the wood as soon as possible.
That's kind of what I do too. I kind of do the same thing as Kai does. I get it into blocks because I don't really do much turning with the bark on. So I get it to blocks and get the scrap out of the shop. That seems to help. Yeah.
And another thing that I did with some old fence posts that had already beetles in them, I put them into the oven at 60 degrees Celsius, or a little bit over 60 degrees Celsius, so that kills the beetles if you leave them in there for a while. Well, that's only good for dry wood, because otherwise, if the wood is wet, it will crack if you try too quickly.
Okay.
I wonder if a quick microwave would work.
Might?
Yeah.
I recall reading somewhere that microwaving doesn't seem to work all that well on insects because they don't have enough moisture in them for the microwave to cause problems unless you really cook the wood.
Well, if you got a little steam going, maybe that would work.
Okay. Any more?
Yeah, that's something else I heard. Put them in the sauna.
Yeah, there you go. And then they can eat your sauna. That'll work.
No, just float them in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife wouldn't be real happy if I put wood in her sauna.
Well, I remember Ed Moulthrop had large round trash cans full of the solutions, the polyethylene glycol solutions and other treatments he used to stabilize his enormous turnings and also to coat them. And he had a lot of those big cans. The wood, there was always wood in them. That was his method of getting on top of all this. He lived in Georgia, which has, as you know, Mike, a lot of bugs. Okay. I'm going to move it along then. Thanks a lot. Good topic. Wilson, haven't heard from you in a while. Mike Golka, we're going to come back to you because you've been around for a while. You always got something good. But I'm going to go to Wilson right now. What do you got, John?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So earlier this year, I have been in and out of attendance on Thursdays, but I was able to attend a master's class with Glenn Lucas in Ireland, and I wanted to share some photos of, can you all see these?
Yes, very cool.
Some photos of the class, absolutely phenomenal location. His setup and shop is just trying to be nice here, but it is literally quintessentially perfect. I can't find any fault with any of it. laminated floors, monster lathes, set up at each station. Glenn and his wife Cornelia are absolutely phenomenal, very affable, very friendly.
Is that the totality of the workstations, or is there another set?
Say that again, sir.
Is that all the workstations, or is there another? Are there more workstations like that?
No, there's a setup for 9 on the wall there. You're seeing, so that one wall is entirely Vicmark setups, Vicmark chucks, full stations. There's 4 chucks at each, the 120s, face shields.
But there's 9 total setups, right?
9 total setups. So there's 9 total setups on the wall, and then there's another 2 on the other side. So there's a total of 11 at the shop.
Got it.
Storage is behind this. There are some additional photos here, but just a phenomenal setup. He's tailored each.
What are the significance of the flags on the end? I see Canadian, American. Is that just to identify the turners, or is that just for fun?
No, that's to identify the turners. Each lathe is set to the height of the person. It recognizes their flag, and above the tape, you'll see their name. So, I mean, the degree of personalization that went into this week-long class was phenomenal. I mean, Glenn is very, very detail-oriented, and it reflects in his work. The shop was stellar, just very, very user-friendly. There's the attendees. 3 Canadians, 3 Americans, a gentleman from Switzerland.
So you're not sharing lathe in this workshop. You got your own lathe for the whole time you're there.
Yeah, this is your setup. This is your station for the week.
And the week is 5 days or 7 days? How long's the week?
The week was a 5-day week.
Wow.
So each lathe setup, you had a vac system, 3 different chucks with 3 different jaw setups on them, 3 different posts, and then his entire line of tools, which you would expect anyway. And they were, when I say they were sharp and prepped out, they were spot on, dialed where they need to be.
So what did you make during the week? How did you spend the week?
So we had 5 different projects. I think the first day was a platter that you're seeing here. This was out of ash, gorgeous ash. There was a second day spent on an inner curve bowl. And then the third day was spent on an inner rim bowl that you're seeing here. This happened to be out of beech. I'll get into those in a second. There were 2 other components, a small, super thin bowl. I don't have pictures of it, but I want to come back to this for a second. The vac system that he had was absolutely a monster. To draw on 11 different systems and then to take the dust out of the shop. You're going to get dust on the ground anyway, but he was minimizing the exposure with the sanding. He has a phenomenal setup. So I know we all read the magazines and read the books and talk with friends and visit our counterpart shops, but this was probably one of the nicest corporate level setups that I've seen in a while. I've been to other shops that are at this level, but they're putting out bulk volume, and this for a wood turner was phenomenal. There's the setup on each station, so 5/8, 1/2 inch, 3/8, negative rake scrapers, as well as mostly negative rake scrapers, a number of skews, a 4 system chuck setup, a different tool rest.
It's all there.
And then face plates, both a 3-inch and I want to say a 6-inch faceplate, maybe a 4-inch and a 6-inch faceplate.
It's all there.
Divider, scale. I didn't need anything. I showed up with what I normally carry, and I didn't need any of it. And the setup was literally all there. Vicmark, obviously Vicmark lathes, which I have Vicmark chucks, which I think are phenomenal. And I have nothing but positives on the Vicmark, gaining exposure to the Vicmark lathes. At the back of his shop, he has a cement area where he dries wood, and this gets back into Chalikian's question about the bugs. Everything that he has that he's gaining or purchasing from local arborists or the loggers is off the ground, which is a component with the bugs. So remove the bark, rotate the piece, elevate it off the ground, rotate it again, and then monitor. The other one-liner with Chalikian's question would be, if you're going to throw it in the kiln generally doesn't get hot enough. You've got to get up to 140 degrees for more than 24 hours. So it's no small feat. This is a view of the vac system in back, and then the staged wood. He's got a lot of beech and a lot of ash. The ash that he has was absolutely gorgeous. And then there's another photo coming up here. There's the other bowl, an inner ring bowl. He has a Logosol horizontal bandsaw. I mean, it's very much like a Wood Miser, but Logosol is more the European brand, which is fine. And he is bulking out his wood, drying it in racks, saving his offcuts. He's got dunnage all over the place. And this is literally sitting on the ground and undercover. That's the other thing, undercover. For any, I don't know the time frame. He didn't get specific, and it's literally none of my business. But he's got stuff undercover for materials coming for additional classes, additional work that he's working on, but there's no shortage of setup. And his layout was, it was probably, we read all these books on workshop layout. He had it staged phenomenally. And I don't have any pictures of his bandsaw, but he had one of the, there's the small, thin bowl. He had one of the Italian monster bandsaws that, you know, it's the two-stage start with the monster, stop share, with the monster 5 or 7 horsepower motor, and then the vac system that it turned on and you felt your hair go up. It was literally a phenomenal layout. And I would strongly recommend anybody that's even thinking about it, take the trip. Super, super nice. I would go back. It was that nice. I would go back. Speaking with one of the locals here, somebody asked, well, you've done this stuff before, you know, isn't that a waste of time? And I would argue vehemently, no, it was absolutely valuable. I picked up something every day. It was interesting to, the goal was to make a bowl or a platter or whatever it was, but it was interesting to form the process of how he got there, how we staged things out, and the process that he finished and followed up with. So just an absolutely outstanding week, and I would recommend it to anyone. So that's all I have. Let me answer some questions if somebody has it, if anyone has them.
I'd like to ask you what your biggest takeaway, what your biggest learning of the week was.
It wasn't, I wouldn't call it one thing, but there were multiples. Don't fall into the habit don't fall into the habit of working with the chucks, because your pieces are reflective of that based on the sizing of the chuck. Try different forms. Your body position and rotation of the hand tool is absolutely paramount. And then there was an entire sequence on sharpening and the value of sharpening. Glenn, and it sounds like I'm being critical, but Glenn pulled out an electron, maybe not an electron microscope, but he pulled out an electric microscope. I don't know if it's not an electron. He pulled out a microscope and showed us a sharpened edge and a non-sharpened edge. The level and attention to detail that he places on sharpening the tools and making that they're certain that they're in the uniform correct procedure or position. This is off of a Tormek platform. I gained additional insights. I'm on a Tormek as well, and I'm also free-handing stuff. But his system of sharpening, the consistency, it makes an impact. And then looking at it under the microscope, you were able to see, oh my Lord, I thought that was sharp, and you were actually dealing with a rolled edge. So there were a lot of takeaways. The wood prep.
So it sounds like sharpening was the big one for you.
Sharpening, I'm a big fan of the sharpening anyway. It's a high point for me, but the consistency of it is the takeaway. And as much as I sharpen often, Glenn sharpens more. He literally, with a bowl, he would sharpen 2 or 3 times, and I would sharpen once or twice. He is sharpening all the time, and that's okay, but it reflects in the surface quality that you're getting off of your cut.
Absolutely does.
The attention to detail pays off. And the other takeaway is someone else asked, well, is he good at this? Well, yeah. That's an understatement of the season. So he rough bowled out in one pass, maybe two passes. He roughed a bowl out, took away the rough corners, and then literally went in one pass and gained the curves in one pass. And I'm not saying it took less than a minute. I'm not saying he did it quickly, but I am saying that he did it in one pass.
Absolutely
and
amazing.
The time savings was noteworthy. I'm not saying that any of us couldn't have gotten to that same level, but he did it in one pass.
Mike Mahoney does stuff like that.
That level of detail and that body positioning, and it wasn't. It was absolutely noteworthy that he did it in one pass, but it was an established. He has 30 plus years of wood turning experience, and it was demonstrated in his actions that he put forth. And the exposure, I think if anyone goes to a class to gain exposure to be with turners that are better than you, I think everyone learns something. So, but I wanted to share that, and this took place back in April or May, and I keep missing Thursday events. So I'm stealing time from somebody else. I see Mike on deck. So unless anyone has any other questions, thank you.
Good to see you.
Just one comment. I have a friend who took several courses with Glenn Lucas from Germany, and he said Glenn Lucas is a great production turner. He's got every small detail worked out, how to do the process of bowl turning most efficiently. So he thought about your body movement, the sharpening angles, the way he marks the foot of the bowl when roughing it out with a special little thing he thought out and stuff like this. So he's got all the process in his mind. And I guess that comes from a long time of production turning. And while you're standing at the lathe and doing it, you have a lot of time to think about what you are doing and how to optimize it. And that's what he did. And he's a really nice person, he said, and he has a good way of teaching, of talking to people. So that's another benefit of the courses he offers. I haven't done one, but that's what he said. And he even took private lessons with just one-to-one lessons with Glenn Lucas, and he's really happy with what he did there.
Yeah. So the follow-up story I'll share is that there was a terrible event that happened with a Swiss plane that went down, and they held a remembrance, and Glenn Lucas put together and turned a number of orbs, and they're basically boxes, but they were round balls. I think you all have read about it or seen it.
We had a slideshow on that one time, way back when. Yeah.
Correct. So he showed us the photos of it, but to Kai's point, each of those 11 lathes are staged out. He has helpers that set up the lathe. Glenn shows up, to Kai's point, makes the curve, makes the turn, and then somebody else takes it off the chuck. He steps up to the next lathe, makes the turn, and he literally has it down to a science. Wow. And it's a practiced efficiency where his process, he refines it in his head and then executes. But if somebody else can stage things out during his process, he can step up to the next lathe, pick up a tool, somebody else is sharpening. I mean, there's literally hundreds of tools on the shelf anyway, so he's picking up a fresh hot tool and moving right through.
So he's like a dentist with 6 chairs.
He's wandering from one station to the next, but wow. Very, very affable, and I'm glad to hear that your friend enjoyed his shop. So it was great.
Okay.
Did you get to pick out your blanks, or did he have them already prepared for you when you got there?
Right. So everyone was able to pick out their blanks. He had literally stacks of wood set up for people. I waited to the end. I didn't want to cherry pick, and there were some others that were a little bit more focused on it, which is fine. The amount of wood that he had in storage, I mean, we didn't see the entire shop. Behind that wall that you've seen the piece on, he had storage in an additional workshop that he deals with his process. So he's got stages. He has bowls and platters in various stages of completion, and there's another drying station in back. so he has another section of the shop that deals with drying. That process that he has and that location is literally just the cat's meow. Up front is a gallery showcase area. We had meals there. He provided meals. And then his wife, Cornelia, is shipping out of that same facility, which is just adjacent to their home. Beautiful, beautiful location. We were lucky with weather the entire week. And then Ireland was just, it was just the cat's meow. You couldn't ask for a better time. An hour and a half south of Dublin, and we had a direct flight in out of Hartford, Connecticut. So.
Wow. Okay, and thank you very much. All on that one. Mike Golka, we got a couple of minutes left. Are you okay with that, or would you want to show us next week? What do you got? You're muted, buddy. Go.
So, just a minute here.
Wow, that's that carved surface thing you've been doing.
That's, yeah. And, well, this is made out of some spalted sweet gum that I acquired on a Fort McMurray project and at the oil sands. It's actually the pellet wood from some 2,000 horsepower Gould pumps that came out of, I believe, South Carolina.
I was going to say, nothing like that grows up there.
No? I don't know where they, well, I think that's where Gould Pumps is, so
yeah.
I don't know where sweet gum comes from.
No, I mean, nothing like that grows in near Fort McMurray.
Oh, no. This is, the pumps were shipped on the pellet wood.
Yeah.
These are big beams. They're like 5 1/4 inches wide by 3.5 inches deep. So there was, these are big, heavy pieces. But I decided, because this was so punky, I decided to do the resin coating. And I thought, well, you know, this is not that pretty a wood. So I'll put some coloring in it. And I'll see if I can find it here. The first coat, I had a lot of dry spots. This wood just soaked the resin up. And so after that cured, I put another just clear coat on top. And here it is right here. I don't know if you can see this little spot right there.
Yeah.
See how it's dry again. So that surprised the heck out of me. I had no idea that first coat wouldn't seal the pores off enough to prevent the second coat from being sucked in. This was applied while the thing was turning, and it was probably rotating at about that speed for at least 6 hours. So, I mean, and I'd go back every once in a while and check for any spots that didn't look great. Like here's another one down here, and I'd take a brush and kind of move the resin around.
How hollow is that thing?
Well, it's pretty much the same as this rim. I'm going to say 3/16 to 1/4 inch.
The whole shape all the way down.
Yep. And the inside was terrible, because I mean you have to use a scraper, right? But
I can hardly imagine how you would do that. It's so deep in there.
I have a little homemade hollowing system. It's a snake hollowing system. And I have a 1/2 inch steel bar that I put a high-speed steel cutter on the end.
Wow.
Hey, Mike, did you have any sense of how that pallet wood was treated before you got it? Was it heat treated? Was it chemically treated, or wasn't it treated?
No, it's not. It was totally untreated. Totally untreated. When I first got it, it wasn't spalted. I mean, there was a little bit of spalting, but now this is probably 12 years that I've had this wood, and it's really spalted now. It's getting to the point where if I don't start using it, I'm going to lose it. It'll be sawdust in another few years.
Mike, if you look on Lyle Jameson's website, he has a little, I've had for 15 years, a little adaptation of the #1 Hunter cutter, which is about 3/16 inch in diameter. you can easily fasten it to a bar. That'll kiss the tear out goodbye. You'll get a completely smooth 220 surface on the inside.
Is that the cutter that has the
dish? Edge? Yeah. So it works like a gouge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fabulous. In fact, I mounted it in a handheld and use it on lidded boxes on the interior. We had Lyle for a demo almost 20 years ago, and then when the Hunter first came out, I learned about it, and I had bought Lyle's end piece during the demo, and then it fit into his old setup, which was for a little, 3/16 inch, just hard steel. It's worth the investment. It's probably $100 Canadian now, but I'm still using the same #1 cutter. I've had it for more than 15 years.
Yeah, well, he sells just the replacement cutters themselves, right?
No, you can, yeah.
Because
it's mounted on a 3/16 inch bar, which he's machined, and it's all set at the precise angle for the angle, because you have to use the Hunter on a slant.
Yeah, well, what the tool I made is just a round bar that where it attaches to my snake, so I can rotate that around to any angle I want.
It's very easy. It's not that difficult to use. Yep. It works on hollowing. It's my go-to.
Yeah,
even in the roughing stage.
Yeah, I've tried just the flat carbide discs, and because they're flat, they don't have that. Even when you rotate them, it's a little better, but you need something when it's this punky.
No, Hunter's a whole different world. It's great.
Okay, all y'all, it's 11 o'clock. Thank you all for another fascinating hour. We'll see you all next week on Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, John. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, very much. Thank you, John.
You Bye.
Jim.
Bye, Mike.
Bye.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.